I'm Mahdi Shaheeb Sher. My website is www.mahdishaheebsher.com. I think one of my interests in the world as Mahdi Shaheeb Sher is kind of being an Asian person. I think I quite like being an Asian person because it feels like rich spices and silk. So I do quite identify as being an Asian person rather than any other kind of person. And I think with that, I kind of have an Asian school of thought, an Asian inclination, and an Asian philosophy and theology, and maybe Asian astrology as well. So I do think that most of my thoughts and ideas are kind of Asian in origin because I'm an Asian person. And I think that's quite nice to appreciate because it does feel Asian in characteristic. I think most of my views and ideas are very characteristic of being maybe an Asian person. And I think with this, I have disfavorable opinions on European consumerism. I have disfavorable opinions on maybe European fashion. I believe that European fashion is maybe one of the psychological conditions and driving forces of Europe and its civilization and populations. So I think that I do have a disagreement with Europe and its ideas and philosophy, with some of my own ideas and views. I think I think I do have a disagreement with European views and ideas and philosophy, with my own views and ideas and philosophy. I think I feel that most European thinkers and philosophers, such as Nietzsche, Aristotle, Plato, and various other philosophers, are kind of under Persian influence with Persian education. I think they're known as Persian boys in historical terms because most of the European education, a school of thought, comes from Persian education. And I think this comes from Persia being a large empire and having kind of introduced its discipline and its maybe not so much culture, but education into European schools. And I believe, my view is that most of the European education, its philosophy, its ideas, can source its origin to Persian philosophy. And that's why I have a little bit of skepticism with European philosophy. I don't think it's genuine or independent or unique to Europe. I feel that most European philosophy is Persian in origin. So I think that's one of my kind of discontents with European philosophy. I feel it's quite superficial and it kind of complicates detail to the level that is unnecessary. So I don't like reading much about European philosophy. I think that it overcomplicates issues that are quite fundamental to the rights of ordinary people, and most philosophy is quite constructive and simple in its nature, with nature's laws. I think with European philosophers, they kind of detract from the issues and causes that could be relevant, and then kind of develop meaning with solutions and alternatives that might not actually be relevant to the normal environment and habitat of people. So I think that in terms of the differences of what I've studied with European philosophy, I don't have much connection with any European philosophy or ideas. I have disfavourable opinions of the European Renaissance or Enlightenment. I think they're quite subdued in their development, and the more interests of the merchant class of Europe, who tried to display their wealth with the intelligence and philosophy of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. So I think that the Renaissance isn't something unique in history or significant. I think it's just a product of wealth that has occurred in Europe. So I do admire the European Renaissance or the European Enlightenment. And I think if you look at what it's produced, the best it's produced, it's kind of European consumerism, the European diet, which is quite basic itself, the accommodation and dwellings that we live in Europe, which are kind of very closed, small, compact rooms and dwellings. I think they have narrow streets as well. That's the best those ideas and thoughts have produced, narrow streets and small dwellings and houses. They have small markets as well. That's the best they've achieved. And they've managed to achieve automobiles with 4 wheels and combustion. That's the highest level of scientific technology they've achieved, most probably. And I think when you look at the other conditions, they've not advanced in terms of government, other than Plato's Republic, which is over 2,500 years old. It's over 2,000 years old, and I think if you have to live by a government that is as old as 2,000 years, then you're defeated as a government, and it's not very good government if it's old government, because I think most people are modern, and I think if you have old government, then it creates problem for modern people and modern populations. So I think in terms of society, money has outweighed in interest any social progress or advancement. I think with Europeans, they've always been consumed by money to the degree where they've not progressed at all. And I think that's one of the issues with Europe. I think in terms of the world, maybe 2/3 of the world is European, with its kind of trade, diplomacy, relationships, politics and government. And I think only maybe 2/10 of the world is perhaps genuine, original, authentic, independent sovereignty that's independent from European sovereignty. So I think that that's one of my differences as a thinker, interested in philosophy, theology, and astrology. I think as an Asian thinker, interested in philosophy, theology, and astrology, I do have differences with Europe and most of the world that follows the European example. I think that the world has its own potential that is full of the world as a whole, without its separate parts or portions, whether it's Europe, Russia, China, Africa, or America. I think the world as a whole can progress further than any small area dominating the world. So I think that's one of my views as an Asian person and as an Asian thinker. And I think that's the potential of the world. Thank you very much.